Let's head into the papers now, see what the headlines of newspapers in Nigeria are this morning. And public affairs commentator Smart Akpejo joins me now via Skype from Lagos. Smart, it's good to have you join me. And I also have with me chartered accountant and public affairs analyst Sesan Okunade joining me as well. Sesan, good morning. It's good to have you join me now.
Good morning, Mike. Thank God for a brand new week.
Let's start with the Daily Times newspaper now. Daily Times says, presidency to critics. APC NEC meeting was via video conference and says no law barred Buhari from holding meetings in certain sections of presidential villa. A ruling party chides PDP over attack on president for hosting the NEC meeting. Okay, these are fallouts from the political scene. All right, from the Daily Times, let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Troops neutralized 12 bandits in Zamfara State, or in Zamfara and Katsina State. All right, troops neutralized 12 bandits in Zamfara, Katsina State. All right, we'll be talking about this as we get along on the show. Now, Business AM is next, and it says, warning, global insolvencies loom amid financial recovery. Banking sector resilience to be tested. Right, banking sector resilience to be tested. That's Business AM there. From there, let's go to the Leadership newspaper. Leadership is saying Nigerian operators lose 150 billion naira to 2020 Hajj cancellation. And airlines, travel agencies seek bailout from government. Leave deposited fees for 2021 Hajj. NACOM advises intending programs. Federal government to announce palliatives for aviation sector this week, and human robotics set for debut at airports. Over 10 million coronavirus cases recorded globally as Nigerians await next phase of lockdown. All this you see on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. All right, from there, let's go to the national economy. National economy is on COVID-19. NIMASA red flags vessels from US, UK, others. And FAAN boosts safety with airport flight spacing strategies. And COVID-19 cases hit 10 million globally. Okay, that's the national economy. Let's go to News Direct. Right, News Direct is saying COVID-19, no two airlines will board the same time. That's the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria is saying this. No two airlines will board at the same time. Okay, there's advice that if you're traveling, you have to be at the airport not less than 3 hours ahead so that you can check in and go through all the health protocols at the airports when operations resume fully. Okay, so no two airlines will board at the same time. That's a FAAN saying that there. Okay, Sesan, let me come to you on this, on the story on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper that says troops neutralized 12 bandits in Zamfara and Katsina. All right, this is an issue of great concern to a lot of Nigerians, the issue of security. Now, the point there is government has done so much. In fact, the Zamfara state government, from the last dispensation until now, had negotiated at a point with some of these bandits, and peace returned to some of the communities and villages. But we are not seeing a lasting solution to this. What do you think is the bigger challenge that we have here concerning security in parts of the north?
Thank you very much, Mike, for having me. I think the fundamental of insecurity is the economic power of every individual. You see, they said an idle mind is devil's workshop. And when people are not engaged in productivity activity, the next thing you see them do is to be used even by the devil. And you see that this banditry is nothing but devil advocates. And the government has tried their part. Like you said, negotiation has moved on from here to there. But I think the approach I will be looking at is for government to engage those people in productive activities. You see, when you are not enlightened, when you are not educated, it becomes a problem. A situation where you are and you have something doing that is actually getting you busy, it will be very difficult to say you don't have. The major reason why people go on this rampage is to actually pass a message to the government. Some will say, okay, we don't want Western style of education. Some want to say that our resources is being shared and we are not enjoying it. But situation where you are engaged in productive thing, insecurity will be the last thing to actually consult. So if they have dialogue, if they have done everything, I think we should look at ways of making, the economy in such area to grow, and government invite those people. If you have the skill to fight, then definitely you have the energy to produce some things or the other that will bring something to your purse and make you a responsible person. But when you are not fully engaged in activities, I'm telling you, if you the next thing you consider is how to attack individuals and make bad use of your strength.
All right, now a lot of Nigerians are commending the security agencies for the work they are doing. Certainly, they're doing so much because it's not easy to combat this non-conventional guerrilla and insurgents, there, as the case may be. But the point there is, there's also the talk about some actors who are either officials of traditional institutions or even government institutions being part of this whole conspiracy, sabotaging the efforts of the security agencies. What do you say?
I think this we have said thanks to that number. We are only hearing that we have top players sabotaging the effort of the security personnel. How many of them have we actually punished? You see, when you see a main actor in a film, my people will say, let me use this actor, no, they die for film. As soon as the actor die in a film, the film is over. So if you have major player like the traditional rulers and you are your fact that they are the one sabotaging this effort, take them off their rulership, dethrone them and take them to the prison. Once they cannot communicate with the people that they are leading, you have distorted their plans and peace will restore. But situation where we keep mentioning that we have individuals and we claim to know them and they are still there walking around doing what definitely they will keep, recruiting more people. But once you're able to nip them on the ball, take them, whether they're on the throne or not, and you have evidences against them, take them off their seat, put them in where they belong and let peace restore, because where there is no peace, it is difficult to experience any development in any form.
Let me bring Smart in here. Smart Akpejo is also online talking to us on the paper review. But Smart, I'm going to take you on a different issue now that is of concern to everyone, and that has to do with the issue of school resumption. Now, there are protocols that are on ground where the government has said that there are certain items that need to be adhered, or structures that need to be adhered to, or protocols before schools will resume. Now, there are calls from school owners, especially the private school owners, for government to engage them properly so they can work together. Now, what do you think should be on ground before schools can resume properly? And some are saying that schools shouldn't resume yet, with the numbers spiking every day. Smart, are you there? All right, okay, we lost the signal there. Let me come back to Sesan. Sesan, let me ask you this, because we've been talking about security all the while, but let me bring you to the issue of okay, I understand, yeah. Okay, let me bring you to the issue of school resumption. What do you make of the preparation to open schools now? A lot of people are saying schools shouldn't resume yet because the numbers we have not plateaued or have not peaked.
Mike, by my own personal assessment, I don't think schools should resume by now. Considering the protocol that have actually been put in by the PTF and some state organization, state government, you discover that we are not ready. Mike, let's look at it. We, the adults that goes to work on daily basis, on a serious-minded business, we discover that We are even managing it. People goes to work 3 times a week, 2 times a week. Some are operating from home because the number keeps increasing. You are now talking of children that all they know predominantly, most especially the primary and the kindergarten, what they know at any point in time is to play. Take, for example, even the nose mask you are giving them to take to school. Before, while they were at home, when you are going out, use your nose mask. Say, Daddy, I can't breathe very well. Now, which one is all this one? You are now leaving them to go to the school to use the same nose mask. You discover that some of these nose masks, some of them use it as a tool to even suffocate themselves. Also, we've been told that the schools need to increase the number of personnel. Before now, Mike, we have two wings to education, the private sector and the public sector. As we speak, there is no infrastructure even for the public sector to even resume because we have so much dilapidated infrastructure for these people to go. Even the so-called private sector, you discover that before now, they were actually managing their personnel. Majority of them are not even paying their staff very well the way it's expected. Now government is saying before you can resume, increase the number. Maybe you have like 10 or 15, increase the number.
All right,
so
Sesan.
that it's a very difficult thing.
Sesan, I'm afraid we have to leave you here now. So it's good to have you join me now. I wonder what you make of the preparation to open schools. A lot of people are very concerned, especially parents are saying that as much as things are, government is saying, looking at the possibility of opening schools, they're still scared of releasing their students to go to schools. What do you think?
Thank you very much, Mike, for having me. On the issue of reopening of school, if you look at the model that the federal government is putting in place, by my own objection, I think we should still exercise little patience. If you talk about education, we are viewing from two sides for the secondary and primary session, which is in line with private and public. Fine, the private might be able to put some of this infrastructure in place because of the money they charge the parents. But what are we doing about the public school, which is solely being run by the government? We discover that as we speak, majority of these schools are under poor infrastructure. In fact, if this COVID has not come on board, during this rainy season, so many schools will be under lock and key because going by one of the report from the media, so many schools are leaking. And how do you conduct good classes for students under such condition? And we are to go in line with the sanitation of some of these students. How many of them, in fact, asking them to wash their hands every minute is like you're asking them to go and be playing. So they take it as an opportunity to go ahead and play. Maintaining social distance and physical distance will be pretty difficult, considering that we adults are even finding it difficult to do with some of these things. So you discover that we still need to exercise little caution in sending our kids to school because you don't know who is who. They might get there and bring this thing back home to us, and it becomes little dangerous. Thank God for few schools that are running online program. Most parents too are actually working from home. And I think it's a relaxed mood that they can concentrate on developing these children because the safety, their health safety is very much paramount. I remember sometimes ago that in a school, in a kindergarten school, a child came with flu. And practically all the 20 children in that particular class contacted that thing that everybody started saying. So considering the fact that their health is a priority to us, I will ask that the school manager exercise little patience for school reopening as we speak.
All right, you talked about the issue of online learning. I wonder how much of impact that is having currently in some of the schools that are engaging their students from home.
Yeah, it's working. Although I would talk from the perspective of the parent, it's expensive. Considering the cost of data, we don't have power. people have to on their generator, at least for the private school, because that is not happening in public school. For the people that are doing it in the private school, it's pretty expensive because the basic infrastructure we expect from the government are not there. People have to power their generator for these children to have classes. You need to get a laptop for the children. You need to pay so much for data. So it's pretty expensive. But for the thing we are undergoing for now, I think, is to keep them busy. And I learned some states are making some of these available on the radio, where they can listen to classes, at least to keep them busy. So for time being, because of their safety, let's just adopt this process, do it for now, and see until, because the number keeps increasing every day. And once you just open the schools and you allow the children to go, you cannot restrict them. They just have to be free. They have to play. In fact, part of education is playing activity. If you don't allow a child to play, he won't concentrate in class. So if you don't allow that and you restrict them, don't go here, don't go there, you will see that you will make even the learning boring to them. So let's see what we can make do of with the government for time being, pending when we have this thing go down drastically, then we can open the school.
All right. So finally, as we go now, before we leave now, what factors do you think needs to be considered, or things should be on ground before schools can resume comfortably?
Before the school can resume, we need to make sure that the sanitation of schools, one, we might need to improve their infrastructure by possibly building more toilets. Two, we need to engage more personnel to work with the school. If you have 20 teachers before or 20 staff, at this point you need to double it. And you know the implication of this, they are going to transfer such cost to parents. So for me, if government can create a palliative measure to provide some of these things, that in terms of sanitation and some basic infrastructure for the schools, to maintain what they said they should do in terms of physical and social distancing and also sanitation, then we can go ahead and open the school, because the safety of the children is much paramount than whatever education we feel we want to give to them.
All right. Safety first. Thank you so much, Sesan Okunade, for your time on the program.